Allred joining me now for more reaction on Roe v. Wade getting overturned today by the Supreme Court. Prominent attorney Gloria Allred joins us now. Ms. Allred, this is a different America than when we woke up this morning. Is America back in 1973?
Great question. The answer is way back before 1973. Back, for example, before Roe v. Wade, which was decided in 1973 by the U.S. Supreme Court, and wherein the court decided that a woman has a constitutional right to choose abortion. It's way back, for example, in the 60s in California, where I am right now. In 1966, it was a crime for anyone to assist a woman having an abortion. And as a result, a woman like me, who was pregnant as a result of a rape, had to get someone who was not a nurse, not a doctor, and someone who would just do it for the money to perform an abortion, which he did, and then left me in a pool of blood, hemorrhaging in a bathtub. And fortunately, at some point, an ambulance was called, not by him, because he said, I just do the abortion, I don't take care of anybody afterwards. And I was taken to the hospital with 106-degree fever, packed in ice, and my life was saved. But having said that, that's the way it was before Roe v. Wade. That's the way it's going to be again now that the Supreme Court has shown that it has no regard for the life, the health, the safety of women by this terrible decision overturning Roe v. Wade, which was the law of the land for almost 50 years. Before Roe v. Wade, the period that I was talking about, states did have the right to criminalize abortion. Many did. States did have the right to restrict abortion, as many are now about to do through their trigger laws. And it's really life-changing for many women. Many women will die from infections from illegal abortions because it's not going to stop abortion. It's just going to stop safe abortion. So this is a dangerous decision. It's cruel for women and children. And it's an attempt by extreme right-wing Republican legislators, that's the truth, and extremist justices on the Supreme Court to control women and their lives. We're not going to be controlled.
So you're saying essentially that there will be created a black market in which women will have to come to an abortion in some way. And then, of course, if you're in a neighboring state that allows it, women will have to travel there. If their state doesn't allow it, is that what you're kind of foreseeing as we get into the future here?
Well, 100%, except that, for example, Texas outlawed abortion, and then the haven state for women to go to get a safe and legal abortion was Oklahoma. Now they're trying to outdo Texas, and now they have essentially been in a competition to see who could hurt women's lives the most, and to really go to the extreme in not even making exceptions for rape or incest in many states, or for if a life of the woman is endangered. There are states where even if parents want their teenage daughter to get an abortion, and even if she wants to, the state won't allow it. And so this is really placing the life and the health of women at risk. It's going to affect them physically, emotionally, financially, in their educational plans, in their business opportunity plans, in their relationship plans. It has a devastating impact on women's lives. And the elected politicians who want to control women and are racing to do it are only doing it for crass political motives, Andrew, because they are appealing to their base, because they want to get reelected. They don't give a damn about the life of women and young girls in this country.
Ms. Allred, you said, like you said, you're in California right now. Women in California, they will still be legally allowed, of course, to get an abortion. Like you said, though, this goes now to the states, where we're going to see a patchwork of legislation piecemeal, with some states outright banning it today, abortion clinics closing today, abortion appointments getting canceled today. And then some states are hanging in limbo. Is it your view that possibly at the federal level, some type of codification will be in place in the future to set some type of standard? 15 weeks, maybe. We know it was 24 weeks that the federal constitutional precedent was set, but something like that. Is that, for an optimistic point of view, what you were thinking?
Well, of course, one of the goals would be to pass a national law, which means codify Roe v. Wade as a national law. But to do that, we need to have pro-choice Democrats in the House. We have a majority in the House of Representatives, but we need more, and we have to maintain the majority. They have already passed the Women's Health Protection Act, but it's stuck in the United States Senate because there are not enough pro-choice Democrats who are willing to pass it. And actually, we're going to need 60 U.S. senators in order to break a filibuster. We don't have 60 Democratic pro-choice senators, and any pro-choice Republican senators are not enough that would pass it. And I think that Mitch McConnell is just going to stand in the way and block it because that's his agenda. Yeah. So yes, that would be what we need. And there are some Republican elected officials who proposed just the opposite, Andrew. Instead of passing a national law to codify or make Roe v. Wade the law of the land by way of a statute, which is a law, they want to do just the opposite. They want to have a national law which would outlaw abortion all over the country, in every state in the United States. That's how cruel they are. That's how little they care about endangering the life of women. This is no small thing. And it's outrageous, and it's barbaric. And yes, as you said originally, when you said, is this going to turn back the clock? Absolutely. It's devastating to women's lives.
Ms. Allred, just lastly, in a sense, though, we knew this was coming, that majority opinion written by Justice Alito. It was leaked to Politico at the beginning of May. And, you know, there was a conservative majority. There is a conservative majority. So for so many who are apoplectic today about this decision, didn't that soften the blow of this? Didn't so many know this was coming already?
Not at all. And I would have to respectfully differ with you, Andrew, when you say there are conservative justices. I believe the ones who signed onto this opinion today, Dobbs v. Jackson, are extremist justices. And as a matter of fact, the president said something very similar to that today, President Biden. So did it soften the shock? Not really. I thought maybe when we saw the draft opinion and there were hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of women and men who took to the streets to protest what was the content of that draft opinion, that perhaps maybe some of the justices might rethink their decision or soften their language, not reverse Roe v. Wade. That didn't happen. So for those who hope for it, you know, I always say hope is not a strategy. It's just a wish. Yeah. So from now on, we have to fight. We're going to take our fight to the streets. I'm headed out for a rally shortly. We are going to speak out in the court of public opinion. There are going to be many legal battles in the courts over this. We are going to go anywhere and everywhere, do everything that's legal and peaceful, and sometimes maybe not so peaceful, because we are not going to take this. This has to be challenged. And you say I'm in California, which is very true. We now have a pro-choice state in California, blue state. But I still think we need a constitutional amendment in our state constitution to guarantee the right to choose legal and safe abortion in California. Yes, we are going to be a sanctuary state. Financially, we're going to help a lot of women from anti-choice states, the mandatory motherhood states that are compelling them to keep on with their pregnancy. We're going to help some of those women to come to California to get an abortion at no cost to them. But there's still a lot of poor women and rural women and young women and women of color who are going to be hurt by all this. Some of them, even if we provide free travel, won't be able to get here. They won't be able to leave their jobs, working 2 or 3 jobs. They won't be able to leave their children that they have, and they don't want another one because they won't be able to support another one, to come to California. So that is why this is just so devastating and so dangerous and cruel.
Just last point I want to follow up on, because we're seeing protests in cities all across the country. You said some maybe not so peaceful. You're not advocating for any type of violence in the wake of all this. We've seen threats against Supreme Court justices' lives just last week. What is your message to keep the rhetoric down, to keep threats of violence down?
I've actually met, I think, almost all of the Supreme Court justices, and at the Supreme Court, except I have not met the newest justice, Justice Amy Coney Barrett. But I've had cordial conversations with them. But look, this is not the time for us to be cordial about what they decided today. Okay, this is the time for us to be passionate. I do not condone violence of any sort, even though this decision is an example of gender violence against a woman's body, even though this is a war against women, even though it's going to physically hurt women and do violence to their bodies as they have to have illegal abortions. But no, I don't condone violence against the justices or against any human being at all. So, but we should be actually less than peaceful. We should make our voices heard in the streets, make our voices heard in the legislators. We need to organize in states that are anti-choice and restricting women's right to choose abortion, and vote the bums out that are voting for these restrictive abortion laws in those states. We need to raise money. We need to have phone banks. We need to do what Mother Jones once said, don't agonize, organize. And that is what we will do, because this decision should not stand.
Gloria Allred, we appreciate your time here on Live Now from Fox, and we'll talk to you again. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye, Andrew.